Hi there, everybody. It's now the top of the hour, so we're going to get started with our public webinar today. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and finding out a little bit more about FileHold and how it can help your company or department. Today's public webinar, it's going to be broken down into three components, as you'll see here on the screen. The first part of the webinar, it's going to be a brief introduction about our company and our software program. And the second part, it's going to be conducted by my colleague, Mr. Kevin McArthur, and he's going to be doing the live demo of FileHold. And in the last part of the webinar, it's reserved for your questions. And at any time, just type your questions in our chat window, and we'll respond and respond and share answers with you and the rest of the group at the conclusion of today's live demo. All right, so without any other further delays, we're going to get moving now into the introduction portion of the public webinar. So why do you need a document management system for your business or department? Well, here are some common issues that we have. Perhaps you can relate to some or all of these. So first of all, the first question we get quite commonly is, how can we get rid of all these filing cabinets full of paper? Well, FileHold can help reduce your paper footprint by scanning and storing your documents electronically. We even include a scanning software program that assists with this process. Another common question we get is, how do we know which is the most recent version of a document and who is working on it last? FileHold's version control feature allows you to track where your documents are and what is the latest version that is currently being worked on. Another common question we get is, why can't we share our documents to be reviewed and signed off by other people? FileHold's workflow feature allows you to share and circulate your documents electronically for review and approval, and we also have e-signature capabilities as well with that. Another common question we get is, we have too many paper forms. Why can't they be electronic? FileHold has e-forms processing capabilities, so your documents can be filled out electronically. We also have a customer forms portal that can be used to download and upload forms and other related documents. Another common question we get is, how can we stay compliant with record retention and disposition requirements? FileHold has retention features that ensure the life cycle for each document can be stored, classified, and updated right through to the scheduled deletion or disposition. And finally, what safeguards do we have to protect our intellectual property? With FileHold, you can scan retention features ensure that the life cycle for each document can be stored, classified, and updated right through the scheduled deletion or disposition. So with FileHold, you can scan or upload a wide variety of documents such as invoices, manuals, contracts, medical forms, educational transcripts, resumes, whatever type of document can be stored securely and accessed through FileHold's desktop application, web browser, or mobile device. FileHold offers flexible per-user subscription pricing and can be installed either on premises on your own server, or it can be hosted in the cloud by FileHold. Our software includes many standard features, along with additional optional features that can be purchased as required. So if you're interested in getting a price quote, just send an email to sales@filehold.com and a member of our sales staff will get right back to you with that information. FileHold has a strong global presence in North America and throughout the world. There are currently over 30,000 FileHold users worldwide. And FileHold has over 400 customers ranging from government, finance, manufacturing, construction, engineering, healthcare, education, the natural resources sector, and nonprofit agencies. We like to compare FileHold to an iceberg. Above the surface, you see the features that are commonly used by our customers. However, below the surface, there's an extensive set of tools designed to help securely store, organize, and manage all of your documents. In today's live demo, we're going to be showing you some of FileHold's standard features and a few optional features as well. And after watching today's webinar, if you'd like to see our features in greater detail, we can set up a private demo at your convenience and further discuss your specific requirements. So that's the end of the introduction portion. So now I'm going to hand the controls over to Kevin McArthur, and he's going to get going with the live demo. So Kevin, are you ready to get going, sir?
I am ready to go. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. And just while I'm doing this, I just saw a comment fly by if we have anything in the insurance industry, and the answer is yes, we do. Insurance is a great use case. Many facets of insurance are useful with FileHold, so we can chat with you offline about that. Okay, I'm now broadcasting my screen. Do you see the website, David?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then let me just transition over to my server. You should now see my desktop.
Yeah, absolutely, with all the icons.
Okay, perfect. So hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. We really appreciate this great turnout today. As David mentioned, there's a lot to cover. We've got about 45 minutes to do this. We won't get to everything. We won't talk about everything below the surface of the iceberg, but by the end of this next 45 minutes, you'll have a pretty good idea of what FileHold can do for your organization. We also know that these demos will spur questions, so please keep putting questions in the chat. At the end of this demo, we'll go over them, and it'll be helpful for everybody to kind of hear all the questions that came in. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is log into FileHold, and there are several interfaces of which we can do that. There's a desktop application, which is what we'll spend most of our time on today. There is a mobile interface. There is a web client. There is a public portal. This integrates with Microsoft Office. This integrates with other applications. You can double click the icon to log in. You can right click a little stack of papers over here to log in if you like. You can have Active Directory or Modern Authentication log you in, but eventually you're going to end up here. This is what I like to call the front door of FileHold. And one of the things we hope you notice about the interface is how clean and simple it is, and that's very much on purpose. A filing system should not be difficult to use for anybody. We should know exactly what to do. If I walk up to a file cabinet or if I walk into a file share and look around, it should be able to intuitive and make sense. So there's some settings up here at the top that most of you will never touch. Maybe some of you will for adding workflows or adding users, but the general population of people that use the system won't deal with a lot of these. You've got a search bar up at the top that never goes away. And then you have a library structure based on file cabinets. You have as many file cabinets as you want. If you open one, there'll be drawers inside. If you open a drawer, there are folders. And if you go to a folder, there are files. If you double click a file, it will just open up in the native application. So in this case, Adobe took over. Or if it was an Excel file or a CAD file, it would open up in whatever application you use for those kind of files. If you right click it, you would have menu choices of things you can do with that file, like delete or subscribe or route to somebody, open. If you hover over buttons, the buttons tell you what they do. So there's no learning curve there, very simple. You can sort by any of the columns that you see here, and you can add or remove columns as well. And this list you see of all the columns you could potentially add will be completely under your control. So it's very, very intuitive. Somebody who's never done this before, this kind of makes sense. You can browse and find what you're looking for. But where the system gets powerful is when we start using search. So I'm going to close all this up, and I'm going to click on search over here, or you can just go to the top and do it. And I'm going to type in the word insurance. Now, FileHold does not think or care about where it lives or what we named it. If you notice here, there's no mention of the word insurance anywhere in this file name, or in fact, most of these don't say anything about insurance at all, yet somehow they're candidates for the word insurance. So what it does is it searches every nook and cranny of that structure, every file cabinet, every drawer, every folder, and brings back security rights results. So I got 63 results. If one of you did it, you'd probably get 1,000,000. It's a very vague word, and it would probably come up often, but I got 63. And if I go to one of these, this is a Anthem BC employer application. If I click on this button here, I will see attributes about the file. These are called metadata fields, index tags. People call them different things, but it'll have the document name, who the carrier was, the coverage, the effective date, the group ID, and the time it was scanned. If I go down here to a completely different one, let's pick the one below it. It's now patient name, date of birth, insurance provider, and any notes that we have. And on you go. This one has a completely different set of fields. So you get to determine what these fields are going to be, and we're going to talk a lot about this. In addition to searching the file name and the metadata, we're also searching the version history. Who owns it? Who last touched it? Has it been reviewed by management or approved? The file size, the format, the location is all being searched, as is every single word of every single page looking for the word insurance. In this case, it came up 31 times. And if I want, I can click this button 31 times and go through the entire document. Now, later on, I'm going to show you a trick that makes this even faster, where you can go right to the paragraph you care about. But I just want you to see that it's picking up the word insurance every time. At the bottom, this was done in Adobe back in 2015 or 2016 on a Macintosh. It might tell you where the file lives. It might tell you who the author was. All that's being picked up as well. So I did something very simple. I typed in the word insurance. It searched through the entire library, all the file names, all the metadata, all the version properties, every single word of every page, and all the file properties at the same time. What this means for you is that it's impossible to misfile anything. I could put every document you've ever had for 20 years in a folder called folder, and you would be able to find things in seconds because we're grabbing onto so much information when we ask those questions. Now, search doesn't just stop there. It goes very, very far beyond what I just showed you. We're going to come back to search and really get deep into the levels of questions you can ask. Show me all insurance documents in the last 90 days that Kevin worked on that were PDFs that talked about this policy for this division. And I would be able to hand you those files in 3 seconds. Before I go down that route and show you all that's available in terms of search, I want to talk about metadata a little bit. Because one of the questions people typically have when they see something like this is, wow, this is going to take me a while to do. Like, I've got to fill all this information out. Before, I was just naming the file, but now I've got all these attributes to worry about. And what I want to show you is how we automate this and how we make this even easier than naming a file. So we will come back to search, but for now, I'm going to take you to an area called the inbox. Think of the inbox as a big empty table. Somebody just walked into your office and they dumped a whole bunch of stuff on your table. And you would do what everyone does all the time. You would pick something up and look at it, figure out what it is, identify it, and figure out where it belongs. Where should we put it? So to simulate that, I'm going to go out to my desktop. I have a little sample documents folder, just some dummy documents I keep around. I'm just going to grab a whole bunch of them. And in this list, there's going to be PDFs, there's zip files, there's videos, there's CAD files. It doesn't matter what you store. We're just going to put it on the table. And now we need to deal with it. If you don't like to drag and drop, don't worry. Just hit the plus sign. You can do the same thing. Just grab what you need. Okay. And now it's part of the queue. You could scan into here using scanners that you already own, faxes. We have watch folders on your network or on your desktop that if you put documents in there, your multifunction devices, all of those things can route files to this table. But once it's here, the concept is always the same. What am I looking at and where does it go? So if I pick one of these, and we're just going to grab anything, Adobe takes over, and we can see this is an employee, maybe an onboarding form or something. So you would identify what it is, what information you want to capture off of this page, like employee name, date, social security number, maybe, and department, something like that. So what you do is you open this up on one monitor, or slide it over. Dual monitors is the best way to do it. But if you had a dual monitor and then on the other side, you'll hit set metadata and a door will open up. And in this door, there'll be a list of all the type of documents that are unique to your organization. So I have a ton of stuff in here. I have way more than any company would ever possibly have. You'll have a fraction of this, but every one of these will be words that you created. So in your organization, you have certain documents, certain forms. You'll pick one. So I'm just going to pick an I-9, which is an HR related file. If I select that, then it says, okay, no problem. If you're filing an I-9, you must give me the employee name, number, address, social, and date of birth. We can do things like drop-down lists or even database lookups, or if you choose Alex's name, it fills in the employee number, address, social, date of birth, renames the file, puts the document away. But look what happens if you change it to an invoice, something completely different. The elements changed entirely. It now wants vendor name, date, PO amount, payment terms. You now have a different database to look up. And it might be that if I select Citrix, it already knows that their terms are net 30 because the accounting software told us. And we can, again, automate the filling of those fields in, rename the file, put it away, start a workflow, start a retention policy, clean up your laptop when this is over so these documents only live in one place. They're under security. All that could be controlled as well. Now, in the case of forms, if you have an electronic form, here's one here, another I-9. But if we look at the metadata, you will see that the metadata is already done. It's already been filled in. The reason that's true is because we have all that information extracted off of the form directly. Somebody went to the trouble of filling this data out, and all we did was read these fields and pull them in for you automatically through what's called extraction rules. So that's a standard feature in FileHold. If you have any form data that we can read from, you won't have to go through the trouble of keying anything in, setting up database lookups. We'll do it for you automatically. Now, we also fully integrate with Microsoft Office. So if you get an email, if you get a Word document, a spreadsheet, any of the Office suite, in the top, you're going to find buttons. So up at the top, we have a watch folder button. If we go into an email, we can right-click the attachment and send it directly to FileHold. We can go over here to the top and we can browse the system. We can add documents in. We can route for review and approval, even check in new versions, all of that as well. Just going to admit someone in here. And you can also drag and drop into FileHold. But the way that it works is that if you went out and did a search in FileHold for Kevin, something very vague, if you found an email, you would know when it came in, who the to, the from, the subject, and the date was, whether or not it had attachments. You would also be able to hit highlight results and search every word of every page looking for the word Kevin. Here are all the words in the first attachment. Here are all the words in the second attachment. And if I went and double click this file, it would just open up right as though it was 2014 all over again. The attachments are still there. The information is still nearby. You've got quick access to this, and you could forward this to somebody in your company. So very, very powerful. And again, you'll find those buttons everywhere. Office has them. So if I go into a Word document, Word has them. You can find these buttons here, just the same. Okay, another concept we have is this idea called a watch folder. So I'm going to go out to my desktop and I'm going to hit new, and I'm going to make a folder. I'm just going to call it policy. Now, this might be a folder you've had for 20 years. It might be a folder you just made now. But the idea is I'm going to go tell File to monitor that folder. So I'm going to go to Tools, Watch Folders. I'm going to delete these just for it to be clear. And I'm going to hit Add and go out and find that folder called Policy. I'm going to come back to this box in a minute, but for now, I'm just going to hit Save. And I've now built a bridge between my desktop and the server. So I'm in Texas, home office is in Vancouver. If I were to go out and create content in Texas, here's a Word document. Here is I'll do Excel and just one more. Let's pretend this is a scanned image. So I'm going to put these 3 documents in that folder, and I'm going to push my chair in and go to lunch. In about 3 to 10 seconds, File is going to start sniffing around and see if any new files have come into any watch folders. If they have, at a minimum, it's going to bring them to the table. And then when you get back from lunch, your job would be to identify what they are and where they go, just like we did before. Or if you have an assistant, maybe you're out in the field taking photographs of a accident, and those photos are being uploaded to a server and sent to somebody to triage and tie them to the correct policy. But I could also do this. I can go back to that little gray box, and I could preset ahead of time where policies belong in the system. I can also preset ahead of time what I know about this file. We already know that this is a policy, so I'm going to come down here and select policy. What kind of policy is it? It's a health plan. What's the document number? And I could turn these on. What modality? This is for inpatient care, and maybe some notes we want to put on it. What I've in essence done now is I've built a bridge between your desktop and the server, wherever it is on Earth, whether it's on the cloud or on your own server. I put 3 documents in, it could have been a million, doesn't matter. I put them in that folder, FileHold picks them up, brings them in, identifies them as policies, fills in all the metadata for you automatically, renames the file, puts the file into a folder. If a folder doesn't exist yet, it will build that folder, then go into it, then start a workflow that sends it out to everyone on staff that says we now have 30 days to sign off on the new health plan. In a year from now, it's going to go to archive where it will stay for 7 years and then ultimately be deleted. It will also clean up your laptop so that that health plan is no longer on your desktop or on your local machine. It's now only in FileHold. So we're talking about front to back automation here, where we can completely streamline your process, rename the files, handle everything in a standardized way without any typing. The good news is everything I've just talked about how to get files in the system is a standard feature. So you don't have to pick and choose one or the other. You could say for certain files, we can automate them, but for other files like handwritten or things like that, we want people to make judgment calls and decisions, and we can handle it that way as well. Okay, now there's still other ways to bring files in. We have a front-end software called Smart Soft Capture, which is included that can extract data directly off of pages. So you're not typing at all. That's also free. It's included with the system. So a big part of our job doing implementation is going to be walking you through these scenarios and how to use these tools, how to set them up. So don't worry, we're going to help you automate as much as we possibly can. That's the goal. Okay, so all of that leads us back to search. So remember, we already know we can browse. If we go back into, let's go to insurance this time, since that came up. Let's go to policy. I'll go to this one. And here I found the inspection. So we know we can browse. That's completely fine. We also know if we type in search and we type in insurance, we get results. The system will behave kind of like Google. It will sort by relevancy. This one's 100% likely to be what I want. This one's 89%. This one's 29%. If you type in insurance, maybe a bad example, but if you type in the word jump, it'll look for jumping, jumped, jumps. So derivatives, it'll look for synonyms, misspellings, proximity. I'm looking for insurance within 10 words of policy, insurance, but not rider. It can do fuzzy logic where a 1 looks like an L or an O looks like a 0, and it can find those for you. So there's things that are helping you behind the scenes anyway to try to find the file, even if you don't spell it right. But we also have this tool called advanced. And when we say advanced, we don't mean difficult. It just gives you options. So here's that list again of all the types of documents that your organization deals with. And just a reminder, yours probably won't complete this page. Mine goes way down there. You'll see everything you need in this front kind of panel. And if you pick one, here are those elements that we talked about that you had to put in to properly file the document. So if I wanted an invoice, that'll give me every invoice we've ever had as a company. Well, we've been around a long time, so I don't want that. That would be a nightmare. So I would hit the plus sign and I get another level. And I can go back and say, and I know the vendor. And that's useful. You could type it in. You could also pull it in from a database. Here are all my vendors. Let's say it was Microsoft. Maybe it's more than one. You're also looking for Dell. Hit the plus sign again. Scroll a little bit further, and we could say, and I know the date. Now, if the invoice came in on the 1st of the month, easy to remember. It was a couple of days ago. We could all remember that. But what if you don't remember? You're not sure. Maybe it was Tuesday. You can do things like no older than 3 days, or 3 years, or 20 years, at least 12 days, 37 days, greater than or less than or equal to. You could do between. I want to see everything since the 1st that came in. It wasn't me who worked on it. It was somebody else in our company. Go to a company directory, and it was Kevin or Leslie. Hit the plus sign again. I want to know if it's been reviewed by management. And I can look at the I want to see everything that's been postponed or put on a hold or hasn't been submitted yet or that's pending. And I'm also looking for the word insurance. And on you go. Now you can do this once and never do it again, or you could do it once and save it and publish it out to everyone else on your team, or just use it for yourself. So I have 2 categories. I have under search, my saved searches and my public saved searches. So here are all the ones that I use for my job function every day. Just press the button. It will build the template and run the query and export the results. Now remember, because you can add or remove columns here, this is also a great way to generate reports. So if you wanted to have policy numbers, if you wanted to have amounts, if you wanted to have who's working on it, whatever you shape this to be, you'd be able to export out to a spreadsheet and take that to a meeting with you. Now you can also add to it. I have 3 levels here, but what if I wanted to get a little more detailed? I could do that. But when I click on it again, it's going to snap right back into position. Same thing is true as if I take things away. I don't care about the amounts. I just want the dates and that type. Press search, maybe I get less of a result, but tomorrow when I click on it, the 3 are back. So it's very, very customizable that way. Now, some of you will do a hybrid of this. Some of you will start to browse. So let's do a search for the word policy. And we got 57 results, way too many. So I'm going to browse a little bit this time. And I'm going to go into HR, go into Andy's drawer, and then I'm going to right click his drawer and go to search. Now, if I type in policy, I have 4 results, and that's much more manageable. Some of you won't even do that. Some of you will be in another system and you'll have a URL and you'll just click the link from that URL. It'll bring you right to the supporting document. Some of you will hit a button where if I'm in another system and I want to do a search on Kevin or Andy, I just hit a button and it brings me to his file. So there is no right or wrong here. Some of you will adopt it different ways, and that's a big important part here. Is the hardest part of deploying a document management system has nothing to do with the capabilities or the usefulness. It has to do with culture shock. We're all used to doing things a certain way. So change management is going to be important here. Making sure there's lots of ways to do the same thing so people feel comfortable. That's really what we try to do here, is make this feel intuitive enough where people can behave the way they want. Okay, so that's the really important stuff here. You now understand how we can file, bring things in, how metadata works, how the search works. Let me just show you some of the kind of nice things it does to help you out. So one thing you notice probably are these stars. 2 of them are yellow, 2 of them are white. If I click a yellow star, it will turn white. A white star will turn yellow. And what we're doing is we're marking that document as a favorite. So I have quick access to it. Now, the important thing to know here is these documents are not moving. They're staying in legal, in HR, in healthcare, in finance. Nothing is moving. You just have a quick access to where that document lives. So that means version control is still there. Audit trail is still there. We don't have people making duplicates or copies of copies of copies out there. This is a quick shortcut to where you want to go. The next thing to the star is the dots. And you'll notice we've got green lights on this one, red light on this one. We've got a caution light on that one. So a green light means I can delete it. I could change metadata if I want to change the date or put a comment in there and so on. Look what happens if I go to yellow. Yellow, I lose my delete button, but I still have my edit button. So I'm allowed to put certain things in here. Now let's go to the red button, red light. We got no edit button and no delete button. There are actually 12 levels of security that you can control in FileHold, starting from the library all the way down to the individual document type. And you'll have complete control over that. So just know that maybe a document is locked, and it's not always locked. So most of the time it's green lights, but today it's red, and that's because someone's working on it. So we can scroll over here and see that it's checked out by the admin. We could be notified when it comes back. So any of the documents that I have here, once they're brought back, I can be notified immediately. I can delete the local copy off my desktop. I can force people to put comments into what they changed. And then we're also keeping a full version history of everything that's gone on. So this OSHA document has 22 versions, and all versions, starting from when this all began back in 2018 to where we are today, maintains a usage log. There's a rollback capability. So if we found out that 22 is not correct, we can go back to 21 and let everybody know that that's what we're doing. So you have complete control over that. You could set alerts on files. If somebody makes a change to something you care about or puts something in a folder you care about or deletes something, you could be notified immediately, once a day, once a week. You could set reminders on things. I want to get my time card turned in, every week because I want to get paid. But maybe I want to see something once a year or twice a year or every quarter. You can control that, maybe just once into the future. But we can do that. And what it will do is it will email you, but it will also send you a calendar notification, letting you know that you've got a new reminder. Anything you've recently added, access would be here. The calendar will tell you of any new retention policies you have. So if a document is up to go to archive after 7 years and then deleted after 20 years, it'll come tell you, hey, it's been 7 years, it's now gone to archive. and you could circumvent it. You might say, well, that was true back then, but it's not true anymore. We want to move that to a longer hold. You'll be able to do things like that. There's also a dashboard that will tell you how many people are in the system, how full it's getting. You have all the kind of capabilities to go right into admin. You have to have rights to do this, but it will take me right into the admin page in FileHold where I can add new users, set up groups, recover documents, that kind of thing. I'll let it load. It's a little slow. Yeah, and there we can see what licensing we have, what capabilities we have, what we haven't purchased, that kind of thing. Okay, I also told you that the buttons tell you what they do. So if we grab a document, we want to download it, we can check it out. If we highlight more than one, we can link it together so that if you ever find one of these 3 documents, you'll find all of its family members. So imagine you're on the phone and someone says, hey, while I have you, can you pull up my file and tell me, did I send you payment last year? This number 10 means you've got 10 related documents that are in other places, but might be related to this file. If we click on the 10, here they are. These are in finance. This is in compressed file. This is in the FAA folder, and this is in finance. Now, these are the children of the parent file, but the children have families of their own. So if we go to terms of services, we can click on this number 6 and maybe get a different set of documents along with the connector that brings us back to the original. So this is a great place to grab documents, zip them up into a zip file. You can press this button here and publish this as one big packet if you want. You could do watermarks and things like that. You could email, and you could send email attachments, or you could send URLs. So if you have large files or security concerns, we can launch something like this where you get a nice table of contents of all those files with just links to go along with it. Really, really handy. Okay. We'll talk about this one in a minute. You can delete files if you have rights to. Here's where you edit the metadata. You see me hit this button a few times. We also have this concept of a tray or a desk or a workspace. So I got some stuff I got to do later with this switch kit. I can just put it on my desk, go to lunch, come back. Here's what I need to be working on. So again, nothing has moved. Think of it as kind of like your favorites, but I've got quick access to things down. Again, you could zip up from your desk. You could send these out. You could print them and so on. Also, if you remember when I did the search for the word insurance, I think we picked this one. We hit highlight results. Yeah, and there were 31 results. No problem. If you're a patient and you want to scroll through it and kind of look for the word, you can undock this and make it full screen and you can kind of hunt for it. But imagine if that number had been 331. That's going to take you all afternoon to find the paragraph that you were wanting. So what you do is hit this viewer tool and we'll open it up for you. And not only will we open it, but we'll bookmark anytime the word came up. So it shows up 6 times on page 1 alone. And we can see if we click on each one of these bookmarks where it shows up. Then it doesn't happen until page 5. And then page 10, and then 11. So it'll actually jump you right to the paragraph that's relevant to you as opposed to making you go one by one. So if you have a long document or you're doing research, this could be really handy. Let's say this paragraph is the one you wanted. It also gives you this nice little copy button so you can copy and paste it right into your Word doc and continue on. Now, this viewer does a lot. It also lets you redact sensitive information. You could put watermarks on automatically, sticky notes. You could have highlighting tools, measurement tools, all kinds of things it can do, add or remove pages. And then you could publish these out as new documents without hurting your original. So I could have one that's all marked up and still have an audit of that, but also have the one that's not marked up that maybe goes to the customer. Now, if you're a right clicker like I am, what you'll find is that all the things we've been doing can happen at the right click level as well. Give this just a second. It's thinking about all the stuff I clicked on. Now I completely locked up my computer. That's what I get for clicking too fast. We'll give it a few more seconds. There we go. Yeah, sorry, that was a user error on my part. So everything that we do with the buttons around the frame of the system, we can right click, we can open in a viewer, make a local copy, send to the printer, to email, convert to PDF, copy, move, delete, all those sorts of things. So if you're a right clicker, you don't have to use the buttons if you don't want. Now there are two on here that we didn't cover yet. One is this button here, and the other one doesn't have a button, but it's the idea of routing documents for review and approval. So earlier I said, once you file a document, it can automatically route documents to certain people for certain reasons. Just by virtue of filing it, we can kick off a workflow. I don't set it up that way so that I can demo what's actually going to happen. Otherwise you wouldn't see anything. But you have the ability for each document type to have different workflows for different reasons. This might go down the hall to 7 people. This might go down the hall to 10 people. It might change all the time. This one might always be the same. If you click on one, it will show you the map of what's about to happen, who's watching, whether or not the document is hidden, what Kevin is supposed to do, how much time he has, and on you go. You could say, well, today we need to add an extra step for QA. You could define, who's involved. I want the documents merged together at the end of the workflow, stapled together automatically. I'm going to send this workflow out to 10 people, but I only need one of you to say you'll do it. If one of you raises your hand, the rest of us are off the hook. Or I could say, no, this is going to go to David every time, or David today, but Stephanie tomorrow. All that can be set up. Once you hit OK, emails would go out, calendar entries would go out, and you'd have a notification over here saying you have 8 new things to do. You would see who sent it to you and when, the instructions, the document they want you to look at, but also any related files that maybe it will help you. You can review all this material, and everything you do will be audited, so we'll know if they skip it. If they don't read it, we'll know about that. If you hit thumbs up or thumbs down, either way, if I approve it, I've got some opportunity to put comments in here about why I approved it. I can attach a file to travel with my comments. And I can put in a password that verifies I am who I say I am. Now, all of you as managers could go to a dashboard and look at the workflows and say, where are we? And I like to sort by completion. These workflows haven't been done yet. This one's a third of the way done. This one's 2/3 of the way done. And you could break them apart and see where the gaps are. We're still waiting on Ann, April, and Andy. Well, Andy called in sick, so we're going to delegate this to David till he gets back. Or I know I'm going to be out next week, so I want all my work to go to David. Or I'm a manager. I don't care about the day-to-day, but I want to know the moment something is late. Or I want a summary of everything that's shipped on Friday. All that could be done from this preference setting as well. Sometimes you'll want to be able to set this up to send it out a workflow to somebody who doesn't have FileHold. You can right click, go to Courier, and initiate an external approval. They don't need to know what FileHold is. They don't need any special software. You just decide if you want them to look at it or approve it. You put in their email address, instructions. Over here to settings, you could say they have to have a password to open it. They're not allowed to print or download. It's going to expire in a week, but during that week, it's going to notify them every day, every hour, if you want, once a week. And then they'll get an email from you. Again, nothing special they have to do. They're just going to click on a URL. It will open up in a browser. It'll have your company logo up here. They'll be able to do what you've allowed, which is download or view. If they click view or download, that will be picked up permanently in an audit trail. You now know they saw the document. They might now be prompted with a place to sign off on it, where they can put in their password and verify that they saw it. So this is a really affordable, really simple way of dealing with external review and approval. You can also use this internally if you want as a substitute for workflow, if you like. But it's an interesting feature for sure. Okay. A couple other things you need to know. Any recent folders you've been to will be highlighted. So if I click on one, it'll float to the top. I click on that one, it goes to the top. So really handy if you go to lunch and come back, whatever you were working on kind of remembers you. You could also do the same thing with virtual folders. You could have your own virtual folders. I have a folder called Chaos. I throw all these documents in there. It's kind of like your tray. You just throw everything in there. You're not hurting anybody. When they go to look for things, they're going to find them in the proper location, but you've got your own way of thinking. Or if you're collecting documents for an audit or a grant or a lawsuit, you could build a folder and set security so that others can contribute. So anybody in these groups can put these files in there, and then when we're done, we can lock them down with this purple dot so that they're frozen, ready for the lawsuit, legal hold, and so on. If you delete a folder, you're not deleting the files. You're just deleting a collection. So just know these documents are still home, they're still safe, they're still under audit trail, but you've got quick access to them. We have custom report capabilities. So here's just a couple samples of ones we've built. So here's a document access frequency by month, year to date. Here's documents that I've never looked at. Just some different formats you can use. Okay, we also have what's called a library archive. So if any documents need to go to archive, they will recreate their structure in the system along with the documents, and then the dot will turn purple. I'm the highest level of system admin you can be in this system, but if you notice, I cannot delete this file, nor can I change any of the metadata. This is now a frozen record for the next 20 years until it's deleted. Now you can circumvent that in cases, but it does give you the ability to lock things down and make sure things are kept for legacy. Even by your trusted admins, they can't be removed. Everything I've been showing you has been happening at the desktop application level. You can install this on as many computers as you want. Even if you have 5 users, you can install this on 1,000 computers. But let me show you a few other interfaces. Here's what the web client looks like. Very, very similar. Here's your favorites, your checked out documents, your alerts, your reminders. Here are your saved searches, and if we click one, it runs it. If you right click a file, you can route for workflow or courier that we just did. The buttons tell you what they do. So not a huge departure from what you're seeing. So if you're wanting to access through the browser, you can. If you're a Mac user, maybe. Now, a couple things you should know. You can't drag and drop into this browser. We do have another interface in development that will be released this year that will allow for some drag and drop into the browser, but for now, it's locked. If you're doing a lot of filing, you're going to want to use the desktop. It's faster. There's more automation in that mode. Here, you would have to do documents one at a time. There's no integration with Office because it doesn't care what computer you're on. It's just running through a browser. Those are the main ones. You also have a mobile interface, which is included for free. And there's nothing to install, nothing for IT to administer. It's just meant for a 5 to 7 inch device or better. You can add documents from your mobile device. You could sign up on workflows from your device. You could also do search. Your saved searches will be there. If you type in the word policy, it'll go out and find them. If that's the one you want, you could download it to your phone. You could send someone a URL. So this is a fully functioning web client that you could point to on your phone. The last thing I want to show you before we get into the PowerPoint and kind of finish things up here is how easy it is to administer FileHold on the back end. There are built-in reports on the back end for workflow productivity. You can recover documents that shouldn't have been deleted, add users and groups. You can look at a full usage log to see any behavior that's been done in the system. Looking at a file, printing a file, moving something is all picked up permanently down to the second. The last thing we did is we looked at this policy memo at 1:41 Central Time. That can never be changed or modified. So this is really useful from a compliance point of view. It's also very easy to set up FileHold. When I build the system, all I have to do is answer simple questions. Step 1, what kind of document am I holding in my hand? This is an invoice. Okay, who has rights to see an invoice? Only accounting and management. Okay, so you would set that definition. What fields do you want? On day 1, this box is empty. And so we'd say we need a new one called account number. And then we would decide, is it a text field? Is it a drop-down list? Is it a number? If it's a text field, maybe they always start with the AB dash, and they're always 20 characters long, or maybe 50 characters or something like that. You can do workflows by simply adding a template. And again, this will be empty on day 1, and you can make your own templates with all the steps involved, whether they're editable or not. This is as scary as FileHold gets. So I just wanted you to see that. Just know that when it comes time for administration, we're going to help you with all of this, but you're going to be empowered to do things on your own. You're going to be able to build workflows on the fly. You're You're going to be able to help others. It's very, very easy to learn. Okay, and then on we go. We can set up couriers. We can do custom naming conventions, retention policies, watermarks. You just kind of follow this procedure. But again, this is all part of training. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up David's PowerPoint and just finish up a few thoughts before we go to the Q&A session. We're right on time for once, which is good. Okay, so the first thing is language localization. They don't let me do Spanish or French because I don't speak either of those languages, but just note that those packs exist. We also can provide you with a data dictionary if you want to have languages from other areas ported into FileHold. We give you the tools to do that. We have tons of third-party integration capabilities from Microsoft Teams, Fast Find, which is a hotkey, Office integration, desktop application integration, a print-to-FileHold driver. We have an API that we provide for free for tie-ins to other applications you already own. We can do database lookups and validations, all of that. Document scanning is included with FileHold. If you have your own scanners, you can continue to use them. We don't need any special proprietary equipment. We also provide you with a front-end tool called SmartSoft Capture, which can do barcode recognition, batch separation, zonal OCR, image cleanup. That's all part of this at no cost. We have health check software that we provide also at no cost. So if you run a big Windows update over the weekend and there's any errors, it'll be the first place we go to make sure a file is running properly. It's very rare to have outages here, but if there is an issue, it's nice to know we're not getting a meaningless error message or even worse, a crash that we have no idea why. Forms processing is a standard feature, and there's kind of two flavors to this. There's the extraction rules, which I showed you on that PDF. Then there's also a tool called Inform, where we can actually create online forms that are fillable, where data gets sent into FileHold and has some expanded capabilities. So talk to your sales rep about any kind of forms processing that you'd like to talk about. Of course, you got to have deep levels of security. We've got, I just did single point of logon today. Mine's on a secure VMware, but we have web services, SSL certificates, session, template, and structural level security. We can work with modern authentication as well as Active Directory and synchronize those all together. We can do tons of reports. I didn't get into even a fraction of what we can do. There's system audits, activity logs, library audits, usage, SQL reporting tools, CSV exports of the search of other panels. There's a built-in export utility. So if you ever move out, you can get your data back in the same format it went in with all the metadata you put in at no cost. And we are FIPS compliant. And then finally, we have records management capabilities. We can store editable active documents as well as frozen records. We can set up retention and disposition policies, track physical documents, hardware, equipment, vehicles. We can maintain version and version control and history, search full document text, legal holds, and metadata storage are all part of FileHold as well. If you want to invite another colleague to our next webinar, the next one we're going to do is on the 17th of this month, and then the next one will be July 8th. And you'll register the same way that you all registered to this one, and it'll be the same format. Just so you know, if you do become a FileHold customer, we also do deep dives every other week in certain functionalities. So we might do one session on workflow that lasts an hour. We might do one that's on Courier that lasts an hour. So just letting you know that we do have resources every other week, opposite of the webinars, where we try to help our customers understand what they already own. So with that, David, any questions came in today other than the first one about insurance?
Yeah, there was another one that came in. If you do have any other further questions, just keep typing away. And before we wrap things up, we'll reply to everything that was typed in here. So one question that came in was, can metadata of an imported or scanned file or files be extracted and sent to other systems or databases using API?
It can be done through the API, but we also have this thing called export scripts that will create like a DLL that you can send that way as well. So when you talk to your sales rep, let them know what you're talking about, and then we can decide what's the lowest hanging fruit to get that done. But yeah, it's real common. Nobody wants to key this stuff in two places. So if I get my metadata extracted out automatically through zonal OCR, I want that data in FileHold, but I also want it in my accounting or my ERP or CRM or whatever it might be, EMR.
Okay, somebody is typing in the chat window, so I'm just going to patiently wait for them to complete their question here. So no pressure on you there, Ahmad.
Patience is a virtue. That's very good.
There we go. How is the data migration progress and how software is flexible for update process?
So if you mean by migration, moving from one system to another, what we would do is we would send you a questionnaire, learning about the system that you're migrating from, and what version it is, how many files you have, what database it is there anything proprietary, is there an export, did you do overlays or annotations, so general things like that. And then we would get you an estimate on what it would cost to move over into FileHold. And then what was the other question, David, about updates?
Yeah, and how is software is flexible for the update process?
Yeah, so when you're under FileCare, you get major and minor releases, upgrades, bug fixes, enhancements, all those sorts of things will come out. And you'll get contacted by our support team where they'll schedule the update for you. So we have some customers that want to hold back a little bit. Maybe they don't want to be updated to the latest version until it's been out a while. Some people will want to be the first because they're waiting for a feature. We'll work with you on that on an individual basis, but you're notified by support and then we deploy it. Typically takes a half hour to 2 hours, depending on how big the update is. But that's typically what happens.
Okay, another question here for you, Kevin, is what is the estimation timeline for implementing the system from requirement gathering, analyzing till completing implementation and going live?
So great question. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we've streamlined the process of implementation. So if you bought FileHold yesterday, it's likely that you're putting live documents in by the end of this week and in full production within 2 to 3 weeks. That's not always true. If we're doing anything custom, any integrations with other systems, if we have to, wait on vacation schedules, there are things that can slow us down. But it's not uncommon for us to be up and running in a couple of weeks. Now, it doesn't mean you won't think of something. A year might go by and you might say, hey, it'd be really cool if we had this other metadata field, or we want to start getting deeper into workflows. You'll evolve with the software. But as far as getting up and running, it's quite quick.
Okay, just waiting for another person who's in the midst of typing here.
While they're typing, I'll also comment that we guarantee a 2-hour install. So we would be sending you a welcome letter with download instructions and a pre-installation health check. We'll do the install, and then there'll be a post-installation health check to make sure that everything went smoothly. And then we're off to the races. We'll have a kickoff meeting. We'll start worrying about best practices, document schemas, metadata security models.